I'm not special. As you all know, on the main channel, I have about 9,000 subscribers, and I'm very grateful to all of you for it. But doing this YouTube thing has kind of taught me a lesson in working with other content creators. Now, I'm not going to call anybody out. There are many authentic people that I want to work with. But something that I have noticed a little bit is people who are even relative in size to my channel have this sort of, I don't really know how to put it, man. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but a little too much of an ego on them, despite not really being that big online. I mean, you're not the most celebrated person to ever walk the planet Earth. I can understand why someone such as Justin Bieber or Brad Pitt, hell, even like Jack's Films, I guess, has somewhat of an ego on them. And we all do have egos, but I think that sometimes it gets in the way of our ability to communicate and make successful friendships with people, because people think of relationships as transactional. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm a believer that all relationships are transactional. They definitely exist. But whenever I go out into the world and I want to talk to people I don't know, all I'm really curious about is the ideas floating around in their head and what we can learn from one another and maybe get a beer, I don't know. And there's this sort of thing where if you don't have enough clout, if you're not popular enough, or if you're not cool enough, if you don't make the right content, there are people in this sphere on YouTube who are going to be like, I don't want to talk to that guy because he's not the same number. He doesn't have the same amount of subscribers as me. And I'm not saying that this has actually been said to me directly. I just get the impression that it becomes a numbers game. It doesn't become a game of, or it shouldn't even be a game at all. Like, it's not about authenticity or who you are, if you're cool as a person. I know some folks with like 100 subscribers, 200 subscribers who still interact with my content and who I would happily talk to if I had the time. But because people get so obsessed with the numbers on YouTube, people in my position with 9,000 subscribers might start thinking, oh my God, yeah, I don't really want to talk to people who are smaller than me. And I can't necessarily say, I mean, you guys signed up for this whole authenticity thing on my channel, but sometimes I wonder, like, maybe I just don't have the personality to kind of do this whole YouTube thing in the first place. Because no matter how big I get, no matter how big that number gets on the subscriber count, don't get me wrong, I'm happy. I'm like, hey, more people are seeing my art and I'm being heard. But I still feel like the same person. And I would never use that number, hopefully, to avoid talking to some kinds of people. And it should only be about vibes, man. If the vibe of the person that you are, the person in question, aren't fitting what you're looking for, fine. I can't really say anything about that. But in the past, I have met other people who leave you on red a little too much. I would like to go on a little rant about leaving people on red, right? Because we're all busy. I'm very, very busy all the time. But when it comes to making connections with people, talking to folks who you don't know, meeting them for the first time, leaving a person on red is one of the absolute worst things I think you can do to make an impression on somebody. You think that your time is worth more than this person. And I've been trying really hard recently. My friend Sam, for example, kind of called me out on it. It's like, you leave people waiting too much on your messages. Because one of the things that I used to do is I would not read a message until I was ready to actually respond to it. And then when I was ready, boom, I would write them a very long message that was heartfelt. But then I also, realized from Sam that I was waiting a little bit too long because I got obsessed with the whole leaving on red thing. So instead of not leaving people on red and waiting a long time to respond to people's messages, if you get a message from somebody with an offer, you should just check it out, man. And if it really is that cringy, if it really is not worth your time to respond, fine. Maybe I'm just a weirdo, I guess, at the end of the day. But this whole YouTube thing, for example, like if any of you subscribers, for example, were to come up to me and ask for my opinion on something, or if you wanted to DM me, or if you thought that it was worth your time to, have a conversation, I would obviously think about it. I'm a lot more accessible than people think. And I'm not saying like, I'm always getting messages from people all over the world. It's not like that. It's more just, I do this YouTube thing because I enjoy it and I want to make friends with people and put myself out there, not necessarily because I just want to be admired for the sake of being admired, because that's boring, man. I can appreciate other people's awesomeness. You can be awesome, I can be awesome. Let's be awesome together. And let's not think about quantifying it too much, so that it kind of becomes like an unnecessary hierarchy where you feel uncomfortable because now you're getting into this whole like superficial comparison game. Maybe I'm just trying really hard not to be superficial, but the idea is here, like going on this YouTube thing and trying to meet other people, I'm realizing that maybe I'm just a weirdo. Maybe we're all weirdos, man. I don't know, what this kind of part of the internet that we're all carving out, where we're just sick of the superficial culture. We can't escape from it. And when this kind of thing happens to me, I can't help but think, dude, like, you're not that special. You really aren't. I'm not special. All I do is talk in the camera, and I try to make a good impression on people and hope that, you know, at the end of the day, at least a couple people watching the videos feel a little bit better after they're done. Because life is hard, people are inauthentic, and there are a lot of shitty people out there. I don't know. This is obviously my own experience, but I expected more out of some of the interactions I get with people in this sphere. And I'm not going to name names because I'm not like that. But I will say that if you're a growing YouTuber, if you're getting out there and putting yourself out into the world for the first time, just be real, man. Treat people like they deserve and just be nice. Because it's just, there's that douchiness that always puts me off. And I think you guys too. If it didn't, I don't think you guys would be here. Because that's one of the number one traits I absolutely hate in people is douchiness. Do not be douchey and just be chill. Doesn't matter. Go with the flow and all the friends will start coming to you. That's about all I have to say today. So I hope that you enjoyed the little view of Shinjuku in the background. Otherwise, Scrotly Mutley.